After completing his initial tasks in Jerusalem, officials report to Ezra that the people, Israelites, priests and Levites, have not separated themselves from the pagan inhabitants of the land, such as the Canaanites and Hittites. These tasks included delivering the sacred vessels, offering sacrifices, presenting the king's edict to the officials, and teaching the people the Law of Moses. The people have intermarried with pagan inhabitants, adopting their detestable practices. The leaders are identified as the chief offenders in this act of unfaithfulness, causing the holy race to become mixed and defiled. Ezra is horrified. Ezra demonstrates extreme grief and mourning by tearing his clothes and robe and pulling hair from his head and beard. Ezra sits appalled and deeply distressed. Others who reverence God's words gather around Ezra. Ezra remains in this state until the time of the evening sacrifice. At the evening sacrifice, Ezra rises and prays a heartfelt prayer of corporate confession, identifying himself with the people's sin. Ezra expresses shame and guilt, acknowledging that their sins are overwhelming. Ezra recalls that from the time of their ancestors, their great guilt led to God's punishment, defeat, exile, and humiliation at the hands of foreign kings. We and our kings and priests means the entire nation, who were handed over to foreign kings such as the kings of Assyria and Babylon. Ezra acknowledges God's unmerited favor in allowing a remnant to escape, giving them a firm place, like a nail, in his holy place, and granting them a measure of revival and protection under the Persian kings, even allowing the temple to be rebuilt. This grace included giving them a wall of protection in Judah and Jerusalem, meaning a measure of safety and security, even before Nehemiah's large-scale rebuilding. Ezra admits they have no excuse, having abandoned the commands given through the prophets, such as Moses, Joshua, and the angel of the Lord, not to intermarry or seek the prosperity of these pagan peoples, so that they could be strong and inherit the land. The command, synthesized from Leviticus and Deuteronomy, was clear: do not, so that you may be strong. It linked obedience to the promise of blessing and inheritance. Ezra recognizes that God's punishment has been lighter than they deserve. Ezra poses a rhetorical question: how can they repeat this sin after experiencing such grace? Ezra fears total destruction. The prayer concludes by affirming God's righteousness and their own guilt, leaving them with no standing before God. Revival starts with repair. The work of revival begins by repairing what is broken. For an individual or a church, there must first be a plugging of the leaks before spiritual life can be revived. This echoes God's search for someone to stand before me in the gap on behalf of the land, Ezekiel 22:30.